Kratos?
How do you know of me? Oh, memories.
You're the ghost of Sparta.
Oh, that's right. You little piece of Athena.
Death cannot hold those who purpose, Kratos.
And you killed my brother, Poseidon.
Death of Olympus means the death of us all.
Zeus is Olympus.
And I have not forgotten that it was you who butchered my beautiful queen.
Everyone is afraid of you.
What more will you destroy?
I will not let Ares' fate be my own.
Fear is a heavy burden. I will have my revenge.
Kratos, the death of Zeus is within our reach.
You must seek the source of his strength.
If I help you, we will both fall.
The flame of Olympus.
All true children of Olympus know of it. They've all come to respect its power.
The destruction of Zeus is why you saved me from death.
I need you to free me.
It does not matter what you are. My concerns lay elsewhere.
This is our war, not yours.
He has again served us well, Athena.
But you were a simple pawn, nothing more.
Whoever controlled the marked war controlled the fate of Olympus.
You are in mine. I will see you suffer as I have suffered. From this glory hell.
Hello everybody and welcome back to more Let's Play God of War 3, our 4th episode. We have killed Hades, we now have the soul of a god, specifically the soul of Hades within us. So we will now be able to access the Hyperion Gates, not the game has directly told us. I mean, there was a little bit of text that we could read that hints that the Hyperion Gates are how we're going to get around, but we're not actually going to learn officially about the Hyperion Gates until after the next big cutscene that we're swimming our way towards. Until then, though, we have to get our official introduction to the Claws of Hades and its magic tech, the Soul Summon. So here we go.
You have acquired the Claws of Hades, Kratos. With them, summon cursed souls to attack your enemies.
Yeah. The magic associated with the Claws of Hades, again, every single weapon has one magic associated with it, is that you can summon a soul and have that soul attack for you once before it disappears. Again, the magic is very temporary and limited, but it's there. Claws of Hades look awesome. Claws of Hades are also unique in that you can change its magic. So you have a list of potential souls that you can unleash on your enemies. You can pause the game, go to that list, change it to something else if you want, and you can unleash that thing on your enemies. Every time you level up the Claws of Hades, you will get a new soul that you can unleash on your enemies. You will get a new batch of souls that you can unleash on enemies. You can also get the 1000 hit combo trophy in this room by doing the attack that Kratos is doing right now, and just not attacking enemies normally. Because that attack where Kratos unleashes the souls of Hades, similar to how Hades did it in the previous episode, it hurts enemies, but it doesn't actually kill them, so you can infinitely do that again and again and again to get the 1000 hit combo. I'll probably put a link in the description or something so that you can actually see it for yourself. Either way, we also have a fast switch mechanic, so we can quickly switch from the Blades of Exile to the Claws of Hades whenever we want. God of War 3 is excellent in giving, player expression, so you're able to swap quickly from one thing to another to let you customize your own combos and movesets however you like, because God of War 3 mechanically is amazing, and even Ghost of Sparta and Ascension don't stand up to God of War 3. Not really. I mentioned in part 2 that we saw a little reference to the boat captain. We also saw a reference to the Barbarian King in the previous episode, reference to Calliope, reference to Kratos' mother, lots of references. I mentioned in the case of the boat captain that was the last time we'd hear from him. That's not technically the case. There's going to be cameos toward the end of the game.
Kratos! Can it be? Does this mean Lord Hades rules no longer?
The god of the underworld is dead.
Dead? Hades deserved to suffer, though I thought his death impossible.
Olympians overestimate themselves.
Interesting. I will keep that in mind, Spartan. Ha ha ha. You need the soul of a god to use the Hyperion Gate, Kratos. And that one has not been used for centuries. I'm sure it's broken, otherwise I would have seen my beautiful... You know, Kratos, I wasn't always like this, a monster. I was once the most prized craftsman in all of Olympus. Zeus rewarded me with my marriage to the beautiful Aphrodite. My mother, Hera, bragged of my talent. But the day you killed Ares was the day my world was torn from me. That day, Zeus became the fiend you now know. Worst of all, he took my beloved daughter, Pandora. My reason for living. I spend my time here trying to recreate her. I fail again and again. She still lives, Spartan. I can feel it. You, Kratos. You can bring her back to me.
Your child is not my concern.
But surely you can understand. You were once a father, too.
So yeah, there you go. A lot of story drop right there. Hephaestus has a very, very large role in the plot of God of War 3, and I think that's for the best. Yeah. Who voices? Rip Torn voices Hephaestus. He does a phenomenal job as Hephaestus. Great performance, great inclusion into the story. For all my my complaining about the plot of God of War 3 and its pacing and stuff, one thing I'm not going to complain about is the Hephaestus stuff. I think it was really necessary and smart to have Hephaestus implemented into the story, and to have it implemented so well is just really nice to see, you know. Anyway, our second time going through this little platform, this little area here that I mentioned last time was the spot for an obvious trap. Well, now finally here is the trap at last. As I mentioned before, you can block everything that a Talos does, so you don't need to worry too much about it. So we're just gonna let them attack, we're going to block, we're going to weaken the other Talos enough so that we can get them both into QTE kill range, because that is just smart. Because, spoiler alert, there's 2 other Talos statues here, so more enemies are definitely showing up. You want to make sure that you can dispatch both of these stone men as quickly as possible, so that you're not overwhelmed by the sheer amount of foes. As you can see, smart. Go me. Go past me. Now, instead of dealing with 2 Talos at the same time, just 1. But I was still kind of worried, still kind of overwhelmed, so I decided to use the Rage of Sparta. As you can see, kind of unwieldy. You can't really control what you do with the blade. You can kind of control the direction of it, but... And it is powerful, it is getting the job done, but compared to Rage of the Titans or Rage of the Gods in God of War 2 and 1, Rage of Sparta is just, I don't know. I don't like it as much. But the Talos is now dispatched. This fight is over. For some reason, that last one never wakes up. I guess it's just too afraid of Kratos, and, you know, for a good reason. We just killed the other 3 very, very quickly and very, very efficiently, so why would it want to come out to play? I was saying before about how the boat captain's little cameo note was the last time we would hear from him until Ragnarok. That's not strictly true. We're going to hear a lot of cameos and a lot of voiced lines from a lot of characters from the trilogy and beyond at the very end of the game. As I was saying before, the big Hephaestus cutscene, a lot of characters, a lot of cameos in the finale of God of War 3, as a way to try and tie everything together. ultimately, despite my quibbles with the story, I think the ending is ultimately very, very successful. Not just in the meta way as a mythology that tells the story about how mythologies came to an end, but just as a way to wrap up the trilogy and wrap up the Greek saga. I think it does a great job. Anyway, the big Hephaestus cutscene finally reveals to us Pandora's name. I've been calling her Pandora this whole time, but it wasn't until that point that Pandora was actually named. It wasn't until that cutscene that we were finally explained that Hyperion gates are how we're going to be getting around from place to place. How we're going to be going between Olympus and Hades. But finally, Hephaestus lays it all out for us. I kind of wish that information was given to us before the Hades boss fight, so that we would have reason to go after Hades aside from just being angry and him just antagonizing us. But that wasn't the case. I mean, we got that text about about how the Hyperion Gate operates, but that wasn't enough context for us to prepare for, to lay out what the mission of the realm of Hades was going to be. So, kind of disappointing. Anyway, we're about to get a cutscene now, after some exploring.
Remember your purpose, Kratos. The twilight is upon us. His death is our only hope.
Understand this, Athena. Zeus will die.
Welcome back to Mount Olympus. We're back in the middle of the second Titanomachy. That was Helios, a god that we very, very briefly saw in, Chains of Olympus? Oh, and look who it is. Yeah, we really are right back in the Great War, right back in the second Titanomachy. Look who it is.
You live, Spartan. The blood of Kronos serves you well. Quickly, you must help me.
Help you?
Yes, child. Quickly. I suffer greatly. I tried to return to battle, but...
Without me?
You know I had no choice. You must help me.
So, I'm not disappointed that this isn't like a full-fledged boss fight. We're gonna get a Titan boss fight later, so I am kind of okay with the fact that Gaia is just... this? An interactive cinematic moment where we have some revenge, and Kratos gives in to some of his worst instincts, which is what God of War III is all about, bringing Kratos down to the lowest of places before we start building him back up.
Kratos, do I mean nothing to you?
You were a means to an end, Gaia, nothing more.
But I must face Zeus. The Titans must take down Olympus.
No! This is my war, not yours.
Building him back up, not in this game, certainly, but in 2018. Well, with a little hint of him being built back up at the very, very, very last second of God of War 3 to pave the path for what is eventually going to be his character in 2018, and his transition into the kind of person he's going to be in Ragnarok. For now, though, we have new enemy types. These are Helios Sun Soldiers. I don't really know what to call these guys. They're more advanced versions of the basic enemies. They cannot be grabbed. And you would think this means that we're going to be seeing a lot more of these guys throughout the course of the game. Not really. There are quite a few encounters with them, but they are not going to be the norm from this point onward. They are just a different type of basic enemy. We're going to be seeing them not nearly as much as the regular unarmored ones that we can pick up and ram other enemies with. The key to these ones is parries. In Chaos mode, you want to parry these guys because that's going to be your most consistent method of damaging these soldiers. They have one attack where they leap up into the air and try to swipe at you with their axe. Just parry them, burn them from a distance, do some damage. You know how it goes. Again, you would think because these guys cannot be grabbed in the way that the regular ones can, that would mean these soldiers are going to become the norm, and we're going to be seeing them from quite a few encounters, especially at this part of the game, but they are not going to become the norm. This is very much just one type of enemy that, pops in now and again, but it's still very much going to be the case that most of the enemies that we fight are going to be the unarmored ones that we can just pick up and ram others with, because they really wanted to show off that mechanic for God of War 3. And frankly, they wanted to make sure God of War 3 stayed fun, so I do not blame them for not making these particular enemies the norm. Not that they're difficult, just it's fun to pick up enemies and ram them into others. It's just fun. So let us do that, and they did. This is a very long fight, and a lot of these soldiers, when they introduce a new enemy to you, they really take the time to introduce the enemy to you. I mean, it's an elongated encounter, but it's not infinite. Eventually, this will come to an end, and we will be able to move forward. And while these soldiers cannot be grabbed in the traditional sense, if you do L1 circle, then you can do a little shove attack with your Blades of Exile that does some decent damage. That attack. And once we get our Blades of Exile to level 3, it'll be similar to Ghost of Sparta's level 3 blades, where we can do the triple triangle combo really fast. God of War 3 is similar in that respect, where level 3 Blades of Exile is going to unlock the fast triple triangle combo that we're going to be taking advantage of a lot. With the encounter done, though, we can move on. So let's do that. Ah, look at that. Full-sized harpies. You would think that these would be very annoying enemies, considering how annoying their mini variants are. Their mini balding variants are, but no. Harpies, these full-sized ones anyway, are exclusively only used for traversal. They are not enemies. They're not enemies in traditional sense. They can damage you, but Kratos is only ever going to use them for traversal. They can't block you. They are exclusively just used for Kratos to get across certain gaps at certain points of the story. Is that disappointing? I don't know. Not really. We already have the annoying small bald harpies, so let these ones be for something else, Am I disappointed the guy was taken out of the story in the way that she was? Kind of, actually, now that I'm thinking about it more. I mean, going back to the discussion from the second episode, I believe, regarding the cut content, and I'm actually going to go ahead and find that article again so we can talk about it some more. there was one big thing that was cut at the very, very tail end of God of War 3 that would have been really, really cool to see. Essentially, there was a big boss fight, a big rough boss fight that they never got to finish, where Kratos and Gaia would have been working together to defeat Zeus. And ultimately it's pretty disappointing that we never got to really that we never really got to see it, because it was really, really impressive sounding from what Stig Asmussen had to say about it. But we can talk about that some more later. Here we hear another cutscene. Okay, we have ourselves another encounter here, and this one is going to be more of these sun soldiers that I'm sure have names, but I don't actually know what they are. Doesn't matter. This fight, very, very basic. It just begins with these soldiers. Just deal with them as we did at the big door. Parry them is the best way to deal with them. Occasionally, Helios is going to be raining down some fireballs in the arena where Kratos is at, so be careful of that. Yeah, be careful of that, because there isn't that much telegraphing where he's going to be dropping them. I mean, you know, the area he drops them does light up, so you do have some inkling of where he's going to drop it, but you don't have that much time to react to it before he actually drops in the fireball. After you take care of all those soldiers, we're going to have our encounter with the second centaur of the game. There are only 3 centaurs in the entire game. They are treated as special encounters, as special enemies, even though they're not that difficult at all. In Chaos mode, they have a lot of health, obviously. But they are not. I'm saying that so much. They're not that bad, especially in this particular encounter, because this particular encounter demonstrates the God of War Ascension camera thing back in action again, or in action for the first time in God of War 3. When enemies aren't on camera, they don't do anything, and that's, you know, designed for balance, to make sure that Kratos doesn't get overwhelmed in situations where there are like 100 enemies and like half of them are off camera or something, because then that, you know, it'd be cheap if you die to an enemy that's off camera. Centaurs also have very annoying QTEs where you have to spin the analog stick in a certain direction for a certain amount. That remains the most annoying type of QTE in the franchise, and that doesn't change with God of War 3. Anyway, when enemies aren't on screen, you will notice that they don't do anything, and that's, again, for balance, to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed. But you can take advantage of that and just kind of, you know, force some enemies to not be on screen, and if you do that, then you can kind of control the pace of the fight, you know? At this point, I'm just speeding up because the Centaur is very easy to deal with on its own. It just has a lot of health because it is Chaos mode. And there we go. With the Centaur dead, I think that's all the enemies, or there might have still been like 1 or 2 off in the corner. Yeah. But yeah, you see, when they're not on camera, the enemies just can't do anything. So you can take advantage of that and just really control the pace of the fight, especially in Chaos mode. You really should try and do that in Chaos mode, control the pace of the fight. Anyway, the cut content that I was talking about, basically, there was a big Titan fight at the end where Kratos where you would be on top of Gaia, and you and Gaia would both be kind of fighting Zeus, and Kratos will also be kind of trying to attack Gaia as well. Really cool sequence. I wish I was in it.
Feel the wrath of the sun!
It was a really, really cool sequence that they kind of wanted to make free DLC, similar to how Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon may have free story content, but, you know, didn't end up happening. Ultimately, didn't really need it. Here's a familiar face. It's the Chimera. Oh, look at that. Exactly as they were in God of War Ascension, except in Ascension, they were more, you know, ice-based for some reason. They kind of differentiated from this one. And in God of War 3, they're more fire-based. But in terms of the actual strategy, it remains almost unchanged between God of War 3 and Ascension. Ascension treated the Chimera as a special mini-boss. God of War 3 treats this also as a mini-boss, but as we'll see later.
Do not interfere, ghost of Sparta!
God of War 3 proves itself superior because with its superior combat mechanics, it makes even fighting this thing just like an actual fun. It makes it actually fun. It makes it a breeze compared to what it was like in Ascension. Fighting this thing. And that all comes down to just how intuitive things are. The fact we're playing in 60 FPS is also fun. The Bow of Apollo gives us a long range option that's actually super viable and really helps with enemies like the Chimera. And the camera thing, as we'll be seeing in a second in this final phase of the Chimera fight. Keeping the Chimera off screen, just barely, so that Kratos can still attack it with the Bow of Apollo, kind of forces the Chimera to just do nothing, just hop in place for a little bit. Eventually it starts attacking again, but you can really take advantage of the camera thing in God of War 3. And just force enemies to not do anything as you lay into them, which, again, Chaos Mode is super, super helpful. And kind of makes the Chimera just a bigger, badder enemy as opposed to a threatening mini-boss in the way that it was or will be in Ascension. And with that, we can go ahead and use this little ballista here. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know if Helios was supposed to say onward at that point. He did, but I don't think he was supposed to. So that's kind of weird. But there you go. With the Chimera dead, we can now move on. With the help of Harpies. Crispin Freeman voices Helios in this game. He did not in Chains of Olympus. As far as I know, who voiced Helios in Chains of Olympus? Let's actually take a look, shall we? Because that'll be interesting, because I'm like 95% sure it was a different person. Right? Crispin Freeman in God of War 3, and Dwight Schultz in Chains of Olympus. And it's very obvious that it's a different voice actor who's voicing Helios. Because again, similar to how they had very different takes on, you know, like Zeus and Poseidon in God of War 1, they had a very different take on Helios in Chains of Olympus, compared to what he would ultimately end up being. With the Chimera dead, though, that was our last really big encounter. There's one more that's kind of big, but nothing else of note. So we have these basic enemies again. Just parry them, that's the secret to really dealing with them easily. Grab them when they're weak, ram them into others. There we go. Goodbye. With only a few more minutes to go for this episode, I kind of want to take a second and just kind of pat myself on the back. I'm really, really happy with how this this series came out. Not just the actual gameplay, though the gameplay did come out really, really great thanks to the Elgato HD 60X, but also thanks to the fact that I just played the best God of War 3 of my life, I think, in this recorded playthrough. But also just I'm really happy with how the editing came out. I've been working on editing as a hobby since the days. Well, I mean, this YouTube channel started my interest in video editing as a hobby, and obviously it started off very rough and very basic, but eventually it grew into something that I'm pretty proud to look at, something that I think is pretty, relatively sophisticated for just being a hobbyist and not a professional. So yeah, I am really happy with how God of War 3 turned out. On a gameplay level, on an editing level, I think I did a pretty damn good job. On a commentary level, whatever. We'll see how that turns out. As always, I ramble and rave and mumble and grumble and say things, some of which are useful and some of which are just, what? But, it's a process. They give you a lot of health and magic for this part, even though you're not coming up against the big boss. They're kind of making you think you're going up against the big boss, because, it's Helios, but as we'll see, it's not. As we'll see, I was saying, random civilian, it's not going to really be what you might think it is. Here we go. So Helios isn't actually a boss. He's almost dead. Perseus, which I think is the name of the fire titan that flattened him and destroyed his chariot, kind of rendered him unable to do anything. He has soldiers with onyx shields protecting him, so in order to actually get at them, we're going to have to use our Cyclops friend here to get past them. This is a Cyclops Berserker. It acts exactly the same as it did in God of War 2. I'm taking advantage of the camera thing to kind of make it not do anything. Again, as you can see, the camera thing in God of War 3, especially in the remaster, is very easy to manipulate, to force enemies to not do anything. Anyway, the Berserker acts exactly as it did in God of War 2. Except you can actually ride it around, similar to I believe we did this a couple of times in Ascension, in our playthrough of Ascension. Yeah, you can destroy the Onyx shields, and now all you have to do is just kill all the enemies, and then you can get at Helios himself. I mean, he did kind of get in our way. He threw some fire at us, so that is reason enough to punish him for it. We get the same kill animation for God of War 3's Cyclops Berserkers as we did with God of War 2, where Kratos takes their eyes. You don't actually collect the eyes in God of War 3, so don't worry about that. You don't have to worry about collecting the eyes. Cyclops Berserkers are very rare enemies that only pop up every now and again, so you don't need to worry about collecting 20 eyes like we did in God of War 2. Anyway, we're coming up towards the end, because as soon as all these enemies are dead, I mean, there really won't be not much left to do except to have our chat ? With Helios? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if he's cooperative. I mean, we saved him once, years ago. Maybe he owes us. That would be nice. Before that, though, now we're going to go ahead and upgrade our Blades of Exile to level 3 so we can get to the triple triangle combo again. Similar to Ghost of Sparta, get your blades to level 3 as soon as possible so you can have the fast triple triangle combo. It is super helpful. Let's go say hi to Helios.
Kratos, I have not forgotten the debt I owe you. Save me now, as you once saved me from Atlas. And I promise to repay you in full.
If you wish to repay me, tell me where I can find the Flame of Olympus.
flame? You will never defeat Zeus, Spartan. You will forfeit your life in trying.
Of all the lives you should worry about, Helios, mine is not one of them.
Feel the power of the sun!
So his boss fight is basically this minigame. Just use your hand to block his light, get close, and then that's it. So I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Wait! I can tell you that to destroy Zeus, you must step into the flame to receive its power.
You lie, Helios! Hephaestus told me the flame kills all who touch it.
And you believe him? That freak has fallen from the graces of Olympus!
That is exactly why I believe him.
My death will not lead you to Zeus.
That is where you are wrong.